Kings and queens, tonight let's talk about it. The highs, the lows, the sheer audacity of the world of unapologetic spending, where the people believe that money is meant to be spent. It's a world where the word budget is a foreign concept and where money seems to flow like an endless river far beyond one's means. So adjust your crowns, grab your cup, and get ready for a deep dive into a place where indulgence knows no bounds. Welcome.
Hey, Auntie.
Hello, kings and queens and aunties.
Hello.
Hey, hi. Night.
Hello.
It's an interesting night.
Yes.
So I first of all want to welcome you aunties to the studio and tell you how grateful I am that you're here. It's going to be a very, very interesting conversation tonight, right? Because in our community, for some reason, we don't always want to talk about money. But tonight, we're going there.
All right.
So beneath the surface of what appears to us on Instagram to be a life of extravagance and opulence, tonight let's explore what fuels our addiction for living way beyond the edge of our financial comfort zone. And what are the consequences of our spending habits? And what lessons can be learned from our experiences with the almighty dollar? So I just wanted to open up the conversation by asking you, what do you think about tonight's topic, just in general?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Go, Auntie Genoa.
Oh my goodness. So when we talk about money, oh my goodness. I guess because for a lot of us didn't have none.
Right.
And because a lot of us didn't have none, as soon as you get a little bit, it's like, ooh, money.
Did you ever hear the phrase, it's burning a hole in your pocket?
All the time.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, and when you're a kid, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you become an adult, But if you're a kid who becomes an adult who never did the middle part, of getting your financial education, then you end up being an adult who's spending like a kid. Or as they say in circles, you're spending like an alcoholic.
You know what? We haven't had the training and as far as finances, and that means seeing examples in our general homes. You always see hardworking people, honest people going to work 9 to 5, and then from 10 to 6. And so that's what you see. You don't see the wealth building. Now you do see it in celebrities and different things. And, now we have these entrepreneurs on TikTok and different things like that. But for the most part, I think the basic thing is it's not shown in home. So, if you don't have that knowledge, you don't have it, then you don't know what to do when you get a little money. Grandma taught us how to save, taught us all how to save.
Right.
But, it's a different day.
Yeah, and there's life beyond saving, right? I mean, what do you do with that money that you're saving? What are you saving it for? Because most people, I think in that generation, were saving for what they called a rainy day, which is just an emergency.
But when was the rainy day?
But beyond the emergency, right, there's life.
Yeah.
And there's college, and there, is stocks, and there's, now there's cryptocurrency, and there are lots of options of what to do with your finances. Especially, we talked about real estate on here in one show, and your investment. So it's just really interesting for us what we do with our money. And I just cannot wait to get to my section. I cannot wait to get to my
I can't wait either.
Oh my goodness. Just to the dots between then and now and why and how and all the things. So I just wanted to, first of all, before we go any further, thank you, ladies, and DY, for covering for me last week.
You're welcome, lady.
We were in people call car accidents. I don't call it that. I call it a car collision, because an accident, right? An accident is when it's really an accident. A collision is somebody wasn't paying attention. Right. So I feel better. I'm feeling better and better, but thank you so much.
Wonderful.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You got to hold it down.
Hold it down.
Yes.
So as you all were doing your research for this show, did you discover something new? Anything new? You don't have to say what it was yet. You can wait for your segment for that. But did you discover anything new?
I did.
You did?
Yep,
Okay.
I did.
Okay. Because, they say there's nothing new under the sun.
No.
And at the same time, the more that you research, the more that you dig, the more that you find. And I want to encourage people to really do that on our show and just in life in general. Just really see, what's going on in the world currently, how that compares to what used to happen, all the things. So thank you so much for being here, DY. We want to thank you for being in the back on the ones and twos.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Making us look good, making us feel comfortable, and making us feel like, we are taken care of. He's always taking care of us. So I remember one time we went to the movies. We were very little. I mean, I think I was maybe about, maybe I was. There's a lot of noise going on in the There's a lot of noise. Okay, great. And we had gone to the movies, and my parents at that time didn't have a lot of money that day. I mean, just that day. I don't know if we were at the end of the month at the end of the money, that kind of thing. I don't know what was going on. But my stepfather had started pulling out all of these coins. Now, remember, my mom had 5 kids. My stepfather's pulling out all these coins, and he's counting up the coins, and he wants to get it down to the last penny. And the theater owner just comes up and said, the theater manager comes up and says, you know what, sir, it's okay. You guys just go ahead. But there are those times when, parents might be struggling a little bit or a lot, but they still want to do some things for their children. And so I hope that, this show will help people to understand that everything doesn't cost. There are things that you can do with your family that cost absolutely nothing. That's so enriching and so educational. Like you can go to the library a lot, different museums.
Yes.
Do you know that there are times throughout the year that museums allow children to come into there for free? Yeah. They have, and I think there's like a museum day or museum week in Los Angeles where every museum is open for free. They're always too, and it'll get your kids away from the video games and distractions that aren't as enriching as that kind of an experience. So take it for what it's worth, but there's always something that you can do with your family that makes a difference. I used to love to go to the library, but I was a nerdy little kid.
I love the museum.
Yeah.
I took all of my children to the library. That was our hangout spot. And what I liked about the library in our hometown, the museum was attached to it. So they would have different exhibitions, and we just go in there and just kind of meander around and all that other stuff. And so, if you mention the library, my children, that was a very strong, that was regular basis.
Very smart mom. Very smart mom. Well, I just wanted to say that, as usual, we have some very special ladies here. Auntie Genoa, who is the author of Genoa's Gems. And we also have Auntie Rose, who is the author of Rose's Gold. But first, we want to just take a break right now and go right into Auntie Genoa's Gems.
What a topic. It always starts in our youth, right?
Right.
As people, if you look around, it's like everyone else is participating in building wealth for themselves and their communities. They can set up just about anywhere. And it seems like we can set up nowhere. It's an untruth. Just what the media shows to condition us not to participate. Supposing we've lost before we even got started. I always advocate for starting where we are strong. Well, when I and my family were young, I did hair on the side as a side hustle to provide the extras that the job couldn't, and it was called my hair hustle. It helped a lot of stuff, the little extra little stuff. Maybe we needed some toiletries, like some lotions and stuff like that, or maybe it was a small utility bill. But it was and the thing is, I used the stuff that God placed in my hands, and not what others thought that I should be using. You know what I'm saying? Now, we are our children's first teachers, and we can begin to teach our children good money habits from a young age, and to cultivate their strengths and gifts. Even my children, when they were young, and we would do different projects and have like little sales and different things like that. And gift giving, but they were homemade. I had stuff that we would work with, and we would make stuff for each other. Like, okay, I have like there was these mailboxes I saw in the craft book, and I painted it was their mailbox and mine, and I painted the mailboxes to look like each of us, and we all had our names on there, and then they could send each other warm fuzzies or put little messages in there for each other. But I did find out the Council for Economic Education, there are 30 states right now that have adopted laws and policies requiring a personal finance education before students can graduate from high school. They didn't have that before. Before, there was only like 5, and that was, I think last time I checked, it was like 10 years or 15 years ago. And it says 27% of the California schools offer the finance class. So it don't sound like they're mandating it, but they want to ensure that young Californians have exposure to financial education, because this is a vital step in closing the inequity gaps and providing skills and resources to provide their skills overall. And Carly Urban, she's a professor of economics at Montana State U, and she says that when personal finance is required in high school, we'll begin to see improvements in credit scores, reductions in delinquency rates, fewer payday borrowing, and less reliance on credit cards. But the thing is, they gotta have some money to play with in order to learn how to do it. Mm-hmm. And when I was growing up, when I was little, we weren't given money. Like, I would go to the store, me and my sisters, and my mother let us keep the change. And if we had the change, you know what we did? We didn't save it. We spent it on candy. Now, my dad was a saver, and my mother was a spender. So it was two extremes, one on one side, one on the other. And so once I became a young person and started working, I did not have any good money habits.
Very interesting, because earlier you were saying that your grandmother said that money was meant to be spent. And so which grandmother was that, on your paternal or your maternal side? Because you were saying one of your parents was a spender and one was a saver. So how did that?
Okay. My dad was the spender. No, my dad was the saver, and my mother was the spender. My dad can hold the dollar till it's sweat. Okay.
Was your dad was the saver? Okay.
But my grandmother, my mother's mother, she would spend. She said money's to spend, but the thing is, she was very intentional about her spending. If that makes any sense.
It does. It does.
So when she was spending money, her money would help somebody. It would help somebody. That's because sometimes when you give out your resources to somebody and they didn't handle theirs properly, and then they get yours and waste it when you could have did that yourself, it makes you mad. I'm wasting my own money. So what say you, aunties? about children and money.
About
Yeah.
money. Well, I just think, well, first of all, I have a couple of questions to your segment. The first one is, I heard you say something about California schools mandating that certain kids take the financial education courses, or were you saying that there's a certain percentage that it's mandated to? Can you clear that up for us?
Okay, 27% of the California schools, and now that's not 100, but it's more than it used to be. It used to be none. They offer. The key word here is offer. They're offer personal finance classes. So they have the opportunity to take them. But if they're watching TikTok and all this other stuff, and they think money just I don't know. It's just like they treat money like it's magic.
Yeah. So what did they say? What grade level the kids are? That this 27%, is it elementary school?
It has it's the high school. Now there are other states in the number. They start in the kindergarten and go up, but it's not this one. It's because I remember before when I did the research on there, there was only 5 schools that offered financial literacy, and 4 of them was in the South, believe it or not, and 1 of them was a northern school, and that was it.
Got it.
Because our children, they need to see responsible spending in order to be able to emulate it for themselves. But as a people, we're so used to not having any, and it shouldn't be few and far between learning how to save and learning how to build wealth and everything. But there's classes, there's a lot of stuff available. It's just that the stuff is not in our sphere. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, and
that's what I wanted to hear. Is it just down to us, or is this offered at other schools? Is it offered at other schools, or is it just
more general, more broad, and but it is going to be up to us to teach our children. But then we have to be responsible too.
Yeah, I was just thinking as you were speaking about it that, you know, we often go to what the schools are and are not doing, and they're talking about high school students. By then, the habits are formed and it's too late. I'm thinking that it needs to happen in nursery school, preschool, you know, and kindergarten, and these lessons.
Thank you.
There. And we shouldn't be relying on the schools to do it.
That's
because
true.
the schools are built on a system that is stacked against our understanding of what money is and how to use it. We're being programmed in the schools. There are programs, there are curriculums that steer us toward being worker bees.
Yeah,
system where we're not going to be entrepreneurs and we're not going to be financially independent. We're going to be plugged into the system where we're working to keep the rich getting richer. And so then, as to Auntie Genoa's point, then at that point, when do we start to teach our own children about wealth building? And even if we weren't taught, there are so many resources, like you said. There are so many, there's no excuse at this point for us. And I'll explore my segment again. But I just wanted to point that out. That's so important to know. This system is not built for us.
So it's broken.
It never was. It never was.
I totally agree.
I do want to add one thing. Dr. Boyce Watkins online, he offers these. He has these little cards and stuff. It's supposed to be teaches finances to young people. He has like a little program type thing. I was gonna order it, but I'm not around any children. But it's I'm laughing because I'm thinking about it now. They have all kinds of stuff, but we just have to, when we see the stuff, we need to pick it up. And I really should have picked it up.
All kinds of resources.
Because I'm gonna have a young person,
and it's still there. Dr. Boyce Watkins, he's a professor at USC, and he is just an extraordinary thinker and intellect. And he really has positive input as to how parents should raise their children in order to become not only productive citizens, because again, a productive citizen in the language of our country is a person who goes to work for their natural born life, retires at a late age, and then receives a pension if it's still there. Not someone who goes and invents something, creates something, so I really like his logic. I really like his philosophy. And I thank you so much, Auntie Genoa. That was powerful. Go
That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Very informative.
Yes, and now we need some of that rose is gold.
Right?
You know what? I'm going to take off these eyelashes and I'm going to slide into some sliders, and I'm just gonna keep it real right now. You got an event on Sunday. You have to look your very best. You have to get your nails done. You got to get your hair done. You just want to look nice, and you want to present yourself as the best you can. Okay, so you go into the nail salon and you're sitting there. Say, have a seat, pick your color. You have a seat, you pick your color, and then someone comes in the nail shop with a different hue, and all of a sudden they're seated. They're seated before you. Okay, so you have running out of time, so you need to get it done. So you kind of like swallow it. You kind of choke that down. Okay, so now you got to get your hair done. You got to go buy some hair. Sister's gonna put it in. You go get your hair done, and you walk in, and you're looking for hair, and the first thing you get is an attitude. Are you gonna buy? Excuse me. I'm just looking to see what I need. I'm looking for a different type of hair, and also I'm looking for something new. I know we've experienced this with Black women spending $20 billion a year, according to Madam Noah, on hair care products, and also we are the biggest spender when it comes to getting our hair done, our nails done, because we frequent the Korean shops, and they're mainly Korean. I'm going to read you an article really quickly where it says the Central Korean distributions actively work to create barriers to the entry to any group other than Koreans to protect the status quo. The Koreans use the nail shops and hair industry to get a foothold in this country. They were doing something as many. They were doing what the immigrants do. They come to this country, and they come in. They set up shop. There are allowances for particular immigrants that come into this country, where they're getting monies from, according to the Catholic Charities, Refugees, and Immigration Services. They get $600 a month. They get for $300 for each child. So they get a little bit of money to set up shop.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So and you know what? I'm not mad at any Korean. I'm not mad at any other group. I don't like the system.
Right.
I frequent Korean nail shops. I get my nails done, and in order to be treated badly, like one person of a different hue would come in, they're waited on faster, or then if there's something wrong, the language comes out between them, and I'm feeling uncomfortable. If just because you don't know the language, don't think I don't know the passion or how I'm feeling about what is going on. Okay, so I want to just say that, okay, hold on. Okay, so they were doing, excuse me. Okay, so what they did was they come to this country, they find a need, and they take advantage of it. But the part that's upsetting is you're not treating your people that frequent your shops and making you rich as the people that you're supposed to treat them well, as customers deserve. And also you're deliberately blocking some persons that wanting to build that business. Like you want to do a nail shop, you have to go through China. I've gone through Alibaba, I've gone through different things, and they refuse to sell me certain things. So I tried to go to another vendor in that same arena, and they stick together. They will not let you buy certain things. So they do have a hold, and they do have a monopoly on trying to get into that business and holding on to all the hair care products and all the hair, what they're doing. So we as people, we have very good churches all around the United States, and big mega churches. And what we need in our communities is our own bank. We need our own bank to invest in the people. And we need our schools, our own schools, to teach the people. And we need our own supermarkets to feed the people. And we need our own hospitals to save the people. But we as a people, like Auntie Paige said earlier, what are we doing? I know we're being shunned here. There's racism there, but we need to come together, because there's money out there, generational wealth for other groups, and we're still scratching at the surface. Although we are the biggest customers in the nail salons and also in the hair care product industry, we have to come together to get some of this wealth for our children, the generational wealth that they deserve, because this is on the backs again of us. So slavery destroyed our way of thinking as far as wanting to do something like this. Slavery has a lot to do with it. That's the reason why healing the wounds of American slavery is so needed.
It's so
because
needed.
when we're buying stuff, what we're doing is we're just putting band-aids on ourselves, and then we're treated a certain way. But we're putting band-aids when we go get that gold chain, and we go get certain things out of our means, because we're trying to cover the wounds. That is what's happening.
I'm glad that you brought up the hair manufacturers and the hair care industry in general, because I was doing a study earlier as I was writing the book and all of those things. But the hair care manufacturers, from what I understand, they hold back and make it very difficult for Black entrepreneurs and Black business owners to get the hair, to get the products, to get all of the things that they need to be prosperous in that venture. And so they are holding a monopoly, in other words, on some of a lot of the products and the means to get it. But I also think that for us, we can do better in our efforts. I'll just say that. We can do better in our efforts to look for those who are Black in business like us. There are lists of Black businesses in practically every metropolitan city in the country, and I'm sure some rural cities as well. There are Black people who do nails. There are Black people who do sell the hair and all those things. We have to make a concerted effort to find out who those people are. And that's the only way that we're going to be able to grow that, because the seed has been planted. And now it's up to us to come in and what we need to do to make those things work. But I do understand your frustration. And I also wonder, why do we continue?
I don't understand.
To go to these nail salons and to go to these supply places, right? When they do treat us so poorly. Not all, but there's a vast majority, based on experience, this is my opinion, based on experience, that just don't treat us well. And on the flip side of that, I also want to say that I was going to a Black nail technician, right? At one point. And we were doing really great. I loved her work. She seemed to really enjoy my company. She did incredible work. Excellent. And all of a sudden one day, she called me. No, I'm sorry. She didn't even call me. Didn't have the audacity to call me. She texted me that I'm sorry, for personal reasons, I can't do your nails anymore. And I've also heard, like when we go and invest with other like restaurants or nail salons, beauty supply, that we invest with our people aren't always running their businesses in excellence. And I don't know what that is. Overcharging, poor service, all of the things. Not every business, and I never want to throw a blanket across all Black people, all white people, all Asian, none of that. But I will say that seems to be a consistent complaint with people. So
Well,
how can we improve that?
Well, the thing is, what I'm looking at is, okay, that's like when I want to do something, and even though I know what it looks like, if you've never done something before and you're just winging it, there's always going to be some steps missing. And it would be nice if they went for the people went, because the Koreans have some of us working in their shops. And maybe if the person that's working in there can see how stuff works, that person can teach the steps so that we can run excellently. But you can't run excellently if you haven't seen it and you don't. There's steps missing. And the other thing is, just like they stick together, we need to stick together. When I used to do hair, I went to a shop, and even though they had good prices in there and everything, I was in there one day when the shop owner was berating one of us. Mm-hmm. This lady was she had spent a lot of money in there. She was, and one time she's having a problem, and this owner was comfortable berating her and embarrassing her and talking down to her. And I looked around, I looked at the people in the shop, looked around, and nobody was bothered, but I was. And everything that I had in my hand, I put down, and I left, and I didn't go back. And anybody that I told about the shop, I said they don't go shop there. I badmouthed them. Because if I'm coming in there to spend my money and your family's living comfortably, and then you can't even treat your core customers right, because they don't now you see everybody in there, but when they started shop, that stuff was for us. They catered to us. The stuff in the products, the hair, everything
will continue to come and buy it. They know that we'll continue to come and buy it. It's I don't even think it's so much a catering, because to me, when I consider catering, I consider that I'm being treated like with white glove service on a silver platter. Yes. That to me is catering. I think it's exploitation of Black people. They know they have it on lock. They have it in monopoly. So we come to them in some areas. But when I find a Black hair care products, what do you call them? Beauty supply. Yeah, beauty supply. Then I will try to go to the beauty supply. Most people are buying things online now anyway. And watch this. Like all of the hair care products that are intended for our hair have been bought up by white people. Even Carol's daughter is a great example. Carol's daughter, she started making products in her bathtub at home, because she needed products, because her friends started catching on and they wanted the products that she was selling for our hair care because it really worked well with our hair. Well, now she has sold that to a white company and they have changed the formulas. Yeah, it's expensive. And so we're not getting the same product and they're getting even richer off of us. So I think that it's a matter of maintaining what we produce.
Right. And it's also having the banks in our neighborhood. Koreans have the Bank of Hope. They have all different types of banks that they can go to.
We have banks. We're in a Black bank. It's a matter of us being conscientious enough and not being just making the effort. I'll just keep to that.
We need to find what they're saying is we need to find them.
Stop being lazy. but I don't want to wake up that stereotype.
Oh.
Make the effort to find where those banks are and get yourself in there and support. And they're always looking for support. You know, and there are a couple of Black banks in Los Angeles that we do business with. And so, you know, we do need more.
We do.
We do need more, but the ones who are here, we're not even thoroughly supporting. And so there's always this chance, right? The threat that they would close, and we don't want that. So we have to, like I said, remember the Green Book?
Yes.
Back in the 50s, I believe, and in the 40s, the 50s, and into the 60s, the Green Book, which was a book of all the Black hotels, all the Black businesses, all the Black restaurants, all the Black gas stations where Black people had to go as they were traveling on the road because it was segregated and they couldn't just go where they wanted to go. And they might not want to go into some of those establishments, but they had a Green Book. And so they got together and they produced this book. They created it out of a need to create it. Well, there's still a need to create those lists and to find those lists where they exist. And so I just want to really put that out there for us, that where are we spending our dollars? How long does the dollar last in the Black community compared to the amount of time that it lasts in a Jewish community, a Latino community, Asian community?
15 minutes.
I heard it was about 15 minutes to an hour, right?
15 minutes.
I'm going to go into some of that in just a second. I'm sorry, go ahead, Auntie Genoa.
No, I was going to say 15 minutes, our community, 28 days in the Asian community. But what I wanted to say is I want to admonish us as we get older, and I'm talking to the village. When you build something, it's not just for you. The Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And just because you don't feel like doing it, well, maybe your child, or maybe your grandchild, maybe niece, nephew, we got to have something to pass along. You build it and they can maintain it.
Yeah, and the other thing the Bible says is if you don't do that, then you're less than an infidel or equal to an infidel, which you go look up infidel. You don't want to be that. You don't want to be that. But I am going to let my pen speak now. And so let's just go into the segment for Paige's pen. Hi, it's me, Paige. And I want to tell you what came out of my pen today as I was thinking about this topic and what we were going to be discussing tonight. Our enslaved ancestors, don't you know that they weren't expected to survive past the time that they left the gates of the plantation? They were expected to live very shortly thereafter. If they decided to leave the plantation, they were given very meager provisions, if any at all. If they stayed, they had to sharecrop. Sharecropping is a system that's devised to keep you in debt. You can't escape from the debt because you're given a little plot of land and you're to work that land. And then the harvest that comes off of that land goes to sell at market, and you have to pay for your equipment, your seed, your animals, your everything that's involved in producing that crop. And so usually, and most likely, our ancestors would go into debt and never be able to escape. So those were the two choices. Formerly enslaved people were promised land that they never received. Have you ever heard of 40 acres and a mule? They held what they could, and they were able to cobble together some for as long as they could. But that feeling of scarcity, it still exists in our DNA, for some more than others. Some may have chosen hopelessness and helplessness as their fate. Others fought against that feeling by strategizing and working hard to overcome it. Both attitudes stem from fear. Do you remember what I told you about fear? When I talked about 10 wounds in healing American slavery, I told you that fear is the granddaddy of all wounds. It is the commander. It tells all other wounds what it is that they are designed to do and to cause the most destruction in someone's life. So fear, and this type of fear, grows into insecurity.
Mhm.
I'm not enough. I don't have enough food, housing, transportation, clothes, whatever it is. I don't have enough. The next level of this kind of insecurity is that I don't fit in.
Mhm.
I'm not enough. I am not enough. Not I don't have enough, but I myself am not enough.
Wow.
Social media doesn't help. Instead of I am adjusting to, my internal clock, my internal behavioral patterns and trying to make a shift, I go to the external life and I try to hide the reality that I'm not enough. And that
Yes.
takes stuff to cover that fear. Many of us do it through to our own financial detriment, going into debt. We're trying to look like we're winning, trying to look like we're better than others. As Auntie Rose said earlier, we're trying to put Band-Aids on the wounds that are gaping wide open. A Band-Aid won't help. We find this a lot in the entertainment business with diamond chains, foreign cars, fancy lifestyles, but it also is for others with a less extravagant, lavish budget. This one's for the gram. You hear that a lot. This one's for the gram. People taking pictures of them in their rented cars and their, expensive drip, and they don't have it. They're just looking like they have it. I have a term here tonight, and I was hesitant to use it because, we're trying to demolish this word. I want to explode this word. But for tonight, I need to tell you about this word, this phrase. My father taught it to me. He called it nigger rich. Nigger rich for those who want to take the ER off. And what that means is that I've got some money in my pocket right now. It might be from a tax refund. It might be from child support. It might be from some windfall somewhere, gambling. It could even be from your paycheck. And for that 2 to 3 days to a week or two, you've got money in your pocket. And so you're spending like you're rich. And it makes you feel really good for a time, but it's like drugs. And when that high comes down, and that you're still in the same reality that you were before you start spending all your money, but it's worse now because you might not have your rent, your electric bill, your water bill. You get where I'm going with this.
Yes.
Remember, our ancestors were busy trying to survive. They didn't have access to all the information that we do. They didn't have the same opportunities that we have. Remember, we are our ancestors' dreams.
Yes.
It's important for us to educate ourselves and our community about the power of money, to teach children finances, to teach them thoroughly and consistently throughout their life stages. That's why we hosted Mr. Richard Jones, who came on We Are Your Aunties and taught us about property investments. And he'll be back on again. And we also hosted Uncle Ken Battles, who came on to share with us about Compass Financial Discipleship. They have a host of free tools, classes, workshops, where you can go and learn all about how to grow your money, what to do with money, how you make money. And it's not just money, but it's God's way of handling your money.
Yes.
The system doesn't support Black entrepreneurialism or financial self-sufficiency. It wants worker bees. It wants us to believe our opportunities are limited. It wants to maintain its status quo. It wants to maintain the current power structure. Why? Because as long as we remain consumers, our minds are still enslaved, programmed to buy. And it raises a question for me. Have you ever thought about reparations? Have you ever thought about what would happen if we suddenly received reparations? Hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars? Our current financial mindset? Where would that money go?
Back
What
in the
would we do?
pockets.
And that concludes Paige's Pen.
Wow. Awesome.
Thoughts?
Back in the
Awesome.
pockets of the oppressors. That's where the money would go, back in their pockets. They'd hand it to us, and we give it back, just like a gambler at the casino. Win, like, oh, I got money. Then you leave, and then you come back if you stay, and next thing you know, all the money goes back.
Look at that. Look at that. I just think about, our need to drape and drip ourselves in European designer labels as opposed to the Black designer.
Oh my goodness.
But I can just see, I can envision if we don't get it together, and we should happen to get reparations. It's kind of highly unlikely, but it could happen. It could. First of all, how do we even know how to calculate what it is that we deserve? Because can you calculate the life of a human being from beginning to end, working from can't see to can't see, working to the bone, where sometimes their arms and legs were falling off because their joints were overused? How can we calculate that? And then number two, when and if we would receive it, I can just see folks, remember coming to America when they went to get that hotel, that cheap hotel, they wanted to go to Queens because I could find a queen. And they go to that hotel, that raggedy, actually it's I guess some sort of a weekly hotel, monthly hotel, whatever that is. And Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall's characters go. And they come out and they're talking to the manager of the building. And as they're talking to the manager of the building, they have left their belongings outside.
Mm-hmm.
And when they come back outside, all the Negroes are running around skateboarding with their princely robes and their gold drippings and their furs, and they are dripping and all the things. And I kind of see it that way.
That was funny though.
Change our set. Even if we never get reparations, we should still be able to do for self financially to the extent that we can have the things that we want, most of the things we want, and everything that we need, and be able to share some.
Yes.
Otherwise, we will be giving all the money back to Nike, the Mercedes, Maybelline, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, all the things. All the things. Who is this? They're saying, I was told once, watch what poor people do and then do the opposite. You know what? Actually, to an extent, it's true. And the person doesn't have to actually be poor. What I mean by that is there are artists, athletes, even business people who got it out of the mud, as they say.
Yeah.
Came from nothing, as they say. Build wealth to a certain level, but they still have a poverty mindset. We've heard it. Steve Harvey has said it himself. He came from nothing.
Yeah.
Built that man has a kingdom, an empire that you almost can't even see. And yet, every day he gets up and he hustles and he grinds like he doesn't have a penny because he's afraid of losing it.
He's lost it before.
He's lost it before. Kevin Hart, same thing. Listen to the rich people, not just watching the poor, but also listen to the rich who still have that poor poverty mindset. Because that's what it is. And you know what? Again, breath. Some of it's not our fault.
You know what? It's amazing how we want to assimilate. We want to go back to the Gucci and all of those when those patterns were stolen from us. And we're just going to, paying out thousands of dollars for something that we came up with. And not just in that fashion world. It's a lot of different things.
Right.
So, we just need to get our resources, our talents and our gifts and get it together, and I think the 60s civil rights movement, when the churches were involved, when the pastors and the people that was in charge of the communities, when they got together, and we was no stopping us until we got the goals that we set in front of us. We was no longer going to give our money and then be told to sit at the very back.
You said something very important right there. You said get together.
Yeah.
Get together.
We have to.
How can we get together when within our own bodies we're disintegrated?
Yeah.
The way that we do it, there are answers though. I'm not just
it is
a rhetorical question that we have to ponder and not come up with an answer to. There are answers.
It is.
And I mean,
to be awakened.
Honestly, get to the point where I feel absolutely, positively, unequivocally exhausted.
Yeah.
Because I know what needs to happen. And I can talk until I'm blue in the face. And it's like, it's too hard to go deep within and look into our DNA and shift it. But I'll tell you what, and I'll say it a million times, I poured my entire life into that book. It took me 20 years to write that thing. And it's in here. It's in here. Healing the wounds of American slavery. Healing the wounds of American slavery. It's in here. All 10 of the wounds, what they do, how they counteract, how when two of us come together, if we have counteracting wounds, we'll be like two backwards magnets. We can't get together. We can't. We're bouncing off of each other like viciously. Somebody said, can it be convenience is more marketable than looking for a business your brothers and sisters run? Absolutely. That's what they're selling, convenience. And that's why I said it takes effort.
Yeah.
It's effort. And so I hope that we will, purging and deliverance and being free of these wounds does not come overnight.
No.
So many things we can be doing in the meantime that will help to soothe our souls. It does my heart so well when I go to one of my favorite restaurants in Leimert Park. It's a Jamaican restaurant. And the brother and sister who run it have been running it since, I guess, Michael and I got to LA about 20 years ago. And their family runs it. And it's a beautiful business. And the food is ridiculously good. And the girls, they had 2 or 3 girls, I think, they had to work in the restaurant from the time they were little. And now we go and they're young ladies. But that restaurant puts them through college. That restaurant pays the bill. And so it does come to, even though the financing is hard for Black businesses, even though our education comes by, hook or crook sometimes, it's very important that we get it. And I don't mean education, college education.
No, I get it. No, I understand.
Education that Auntie Janelle was referring to earlier. There's so many resources out there that can teach us finances, teach us how to teach our young about finances. My husband and I, we do Compass financial discipleship workshops, and it's free. The only thing you're paying for is your materials. Hit us up. Hit us up. We'd be happy to welcome you. But there's so many resources. So I just wanted to say thank everybody so much for coming and give each auntie an opportunity to wrap up her segment and your final thoughts with our people, our village before we go.
Did you want to go first? Go ahead.
I'll go. Yeah. You know what? It's just, and it's not easy and it's not hard. Like I said, we all said, this book it's in here. The knowledge is in here. It's in here. And it helps wake you up. If you ever wanted to be awake, then this is it. And I remember, I'm thinking of Spike Lee's movie, wake up, because it's in here. And we need to know what we need to know. And I can't say enough about it. I can't. This is it. It's in here. We need to wake up.
Wake up.
And we need to be healing the wounds of American slavery to wake us up.
Yeah, the real woke. I could have have a whole show about the meaning of really being woke. But anyway, go ahead. Thank you, Auntie Rose. You broke that down. Go
She
ahead.
did.
The
She
mic is
did.
yours.
Now, my village, my people. It's not too late for us. I know they've been feeding us fear sandwiches, and you're looking at all the things that's going on. Every time you look around, when we have an issue, it get hijacked by somebody. The alphabet community, the feminist community, the this community and that. But we still here. We are still here, and it's our time to arise and shine. There's the information is out here. If you're having young children, if you have children, nieces, nephews, grandchildren, and everything, just like I do with mine, take time out to teach them. Don't spend every dime. If you spend, earmark some money for them to have in their hands so they can learn how to manage it. That's the only way they're going to learn. That when I was growing up, that's how they taught us. They showed us. And it's not, and then don't always think it's all about you. The back in our ancestors, when they went through all the stuff they went through, they were thinking about us. And so we need to start thinking about our future generations. Maybe you don't feel like starting a business, but maybe if you start the business, then that'll help the family in the long run. You can't teach the children if you don't give them nothing to learn. But I love y'all. We gotta do better.
You took a lot of the words right out of my mouth, because I was just thinking our ancestors survived.
Yes, they did.
Do you understand what that means? They survived the worst of the worst.
That's right.
The torment, the pain, the abuse, the psychological defeats, all of it. And they survived it. That means that we are the strongest of the strong.
That's right.
Bravest of the brave, the smartest of the smart. Otherwise, we would be extinct, because that was the plan. But we're here. That means
still here.
That means there's hope. And you know why they did what they did? So that we could do what we were born to do. And the only way we can do that is to help each other, love each other, come together as a community, and we can do it.
Yes, we can.
We are your aunties. You can tell us anything, but there's a way to say everything.
Yes.
And we mean it. We're here for you. We love you. We are so proud of you. And we want you to continue to do what you do, grow into who you were meant to be. And until next week, take care of yourself. Bye.